Hi everyone, thanks for joining in for Plant and Paint Night. So since it's a recording, feel free to press pause whenever you need to. And let's get started. We're going to be painting this great terracotta flower pot. It's a really absorbent surface, so you might find that if you don't get the desired effect, you might have to do more than one coat, okay? But we're going to be making something similar to this beautiful summer flower pot. And you've got your succulent, and I'll talk about the planting at the end of the painting. So what you need to make sure you have is a container of water to wash your brushes in, and just a napkin or paper towel or an old rag to dry your brush off with. The first step is we're going to be using the bigger brush, the brown paint and the white paint, and we're going to paint the sand on the bottom of the flower pot. And we'll start with the brown paint. Dipping your bigger brush in. You want to just go up about, I would say 3/4 of an inch around the base in this sweeping motion. And it doesn't have to be a straight line because we're getting the effect of sand, right, at the beach. So you're gonna go all the way around. And if you want to give this a minute to dry, and then we'll layer another coat of this brown paint on. This way, get a little bit of a darker effect. So I just let mine dry for about a minute or two, and I'm going to add another coat of the brown paint on the bottom. Get a little bit of darker effect in here. Then I'm going to wash my brush, dry it, and pick up just a bit of the white paint and run just a few brush strokes through of the white paint to lighten up some of those areas of the sand. Really a little bit, and I'm going to just sweep it in a few different spots. Okay, I like to take off the extra paint, and now maybe even pick up a little brown and just blend that in. And it looks like the sun is hitting those areas of the sand. And we are ready to introduce some ocean water. Okay, if your brush is dirty, just give it a rinse, dry, and we're going to take the blue paint and do the same thing with the blue paint, and then adding in a little bit of the white paint just to highlight the ocean. So picking up some blue paint, going up also about 3/4 of an inch above the sand, sweeping it back and forth. Now, this is a nice vibrant blue, so you should not need a second coat of this. So I'm going to go right into adding the water. I'm gonna wash my brush, get into the white paint, pretty much do the same thing, just a couple of little strokes. Take off the excess and just blend it in there. It looks like the waves are hitting. We have the start of our beach scene. Okay, now it's time for the sunset. We're going to stick with the big brush, starting with yellow paint, then introducing orange, introducing red. This time we don't have to wash our brush in between because we really do want the colors to blend together. So picking up the yellow, going right above the ocean. You're gonna go all the way around your flower pot. Yellow first. So now you want to go up about, I would say at least an inch. So you should be about halfway up your flower pot at this point. Then we're going to start overlapping with orange, picking up the orange, going right on top of the yellow and blending it together. So at this point you might have like this straight line here that you want to blend away. Pick up more yellow and go right over where the orange and the yellow meet and blend it in. So we have the yellow and adding the orange back and forth and up and down, blending it together. And if you feel like at any point you've added too much orange, just go back and pick up some yellow and add it in. And so what you're doing is working those two colors into each other. Picking up some more yellow. And all the way around. And then we're going to do the same thing, introducing the red. I'm going to pick up my red, going over the orange and blending back and forth. Now, this is really where you get the creative freedom to make your sunset look however you want it to look by adding in more orange or more yellow or more red. See how this is just a little too bold right here? I'm going to pick up some orange and just mute down that red a little bit, even getting some of the yellow back in. So you just keep working all of those colors till you get up to the rim. Now here you can choose to either stop or go all the way up the rim, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to just pick up my red and orange and bring that sunset all the way up. Okay, so you're going to let your flower pot dry for another 3 or 4 minutes before we start the palm tree. And I already did that. So the palm tree is going to be done with the black paint. We're doing a silhouette. Starting with the larger brush, just put paint up on about the top half of it. We don't want the trunk to be too thick. And with the palm tree, what you do is you load up the black paint, starting from the bottom. Just lean, palm trees like to take a lean like that, right? Lean it up like that. And give it a little bit of a thicker trunk on the bottom, and it gets thinner as it goes up. So after you've done the trunk, we're going to just take the tip of the larger brush and add the leaves, sweeping them out in this half moon shape. You can do a few of them. You could always add more later on. Right, so we'll start with that. And then we're going to switch to the smaller brush. It's that tiny, tiny little detail brush. And the way that we get these leaves to look really like a palm tree is these short little strokes, starting from where that center arch meets the trunk. These little wisps going from longer to shorter. And you really don't want to press down too hard. You're just letting the paint and the brush do the work for you, laying them down without pressing too hard. And you can do both sides if you have room. Don't be afraid to pick up a lot of paint because the flower pot is really absorbent. And with this part, the more paint you use, the better, because it will take you away from that tendency to press hard with your brush and allow the paint to sort of just, lay down onto the pot where it belongs. Okay, time for that Adirondack chair. Pretty simple. We're still using the small brush. By now you washed it and dried it. The difference this time is that with the palm tree, we really didn't press down hard, but with the chair, we're going to press harder. And it's pretty simple. We're going to pick up the white paint, find a spot that's already up in the sunset, and press down and create a straight line going all the way into the sand. So your chair's sitting in the sand. That's one. Now we're going to do one on each side, just a little bit shorter than that first one. And at this point, you can decide if you want to add another branch. And then repeat that step, and even on each side, just and add another palm tree. The last on the other side. And now we have the back of the chair. Pretty cool, huh? Okay. Same technique. We're going to make a bar of wood going right across the bottom that holds the chair together, and I am pressing down hard on it to get that nice line. Going right across the middle, and then one across the top. Okay, now it's time for the arms and the legs. Going from this middle, we're leaning into it. That's the arm coming into it. And just imagine parallel to that, same thing, that's the leg. And now we connect the two. And that's all set. And now we're going to add the other leg on the other side. And there's your Adirondack chair. I'm going to do it for you one more time. Okay, so you have a beautiful succulent plant. It is a new one, so I mean it's smaller. It will get bigger. They grow really, really slow. The best way to plant it is you want to shake it gently out of the container and just pinch the bottom so that some of the soil comes off. Add your bag of soil. Set it into your soil. And then what I'd like you to do is if you can go outside and find some pebbles and rocks. Succulents like to live in a really gritty soil, so you want to mix in some pebbles and rocks in there. The thing about succulent plants is they're really easy. They don't require a lot of watering, maybe once every 2 weeks, but they do need about 6 hours of non-direct light a day. So you can set them anywhere in a room that will get some sunlight hitting it. Doesn't need it a lot, but about 6 hours a day. The way that you'll know that your plant needs watering is if you dig your finger into the soil and it's completely dry, like desert dry, that's when it needs water. But they really survive best in drought. So about once every 2 weeks should do fine. If for any reason one of your leaves fell off, like I just picked one off right now, don't stress. They reroot themselves, which is really nice. They grow back. So just stick one back into the soil, and in a couple of weeks, you'll see some roots coming out of it. They're really slow growing, but it makes it nice for a small container. So I hope you enjoyed, and see you next time. Thanks.